Greetings and salutations. Today I want to talk about something that is widely misunderstood. I want to talk about spiritual healing. Now, we've all seen those jerk evangelists on TV with their fake bullshit. They're asking for money, they're doing these fake healings, they hire people to pretend they're sick, and they jump up out of the wheelchair, suddenly everything's great. All of that is a scam. If a healer wants your money, that's a scam, let me tell you that. There are legitimate healers out there, whether it's Reiki, whether it's native spirituality, whether it's something else. But let me tell you something. If you see a healer who's presenting him or herself as perfect and wise, avoid that person. Because let me tell you why somebody becomes a spiritual healer. A real one, a legit spiritual healer. Somebody who's going to do it for free for their own reasons. A person drawn into spiritual healing is somebody who's been to every doctor, taken every pill, read every book, and they still got more pain than the average person. They've seen pain all their lives. They know people in pain. Pain is a big deal. Pain is something that they want to avoid at all costs, no matter what. They've tried everything. They're desperate. And now, not because they want to so much, but because they feel they have to, and they're desperate, they try something crazy. They go into spiritual healing. Lo and behold, they get some results. Now, everything in nature is reciprocal, okay? If you are trying to help somebody else for free with good intentions, helping them, making yourself a conduit between God, nature, true love, all good things, so that can pass through you into that person and bless that person with some kind of benefit, some kind of healing, and they're actually open to it and they receive that, the healer receives a healing equivalent to the healing that person received. So the healer experiences a reduction in his or her pain. So does the recipient, okay? This is the motivation for being a spiritual healer. If you take money from the recipient, you can forget about this working. So to be a legitimate spiritual healer, basically you got to have a tremendous amount of pain and a desire to get rid of your pain and a desire to help the other person to get rid of his or her pain. Now, I'm going to use an analogy with electricity. How the flow of electricity, the natural flow of electricity, is similar to the natural flow of spirit, and how this works and doesn't work. It's hit and miss, and I'll tell you why. People, generally speaking, and they don't like to admit this either to themselves or anybody else, we tend to create most of our own pain. And after we've created it, we tend to identify with it. We learn to cope with it. It becomes part of who we are. And then we go to get healed. But what we're actually doing is we're holding on to our pain with our hands, both feet. We don't really want to let go of it on a subconscious level. But consciously, we know we want to get rid of it. So we go in for a spiritual healing. We insulate ourselves against the healing, and in which case it doesn't work. God's not going to force us to give up our pain. Nature's not going to force us to do anything. The spiritual healer makes him or herself a conduit. Okay, none of that works at all if we're not open to it. If we're open to it a tiny bit, then we'll get a tiny healing. Now, what frequently will happen is somebody will go in there complaining, I got a sore foot, I want my sore foot healed. Well, they're open to having their sore foot healed. They're somewhat open to having a healing. But I'll tell you what happens. They get a little bit of a healing. When the healing comes through, it goes to the need. Okay? That person's need, I guarantee, is not the sore foot. That is the least of that person's problems. That person's going to leave there with a sore foot. But if the person receives some kind of a healing, that'll go to the need. In the same way, if a healing has taken place, the healer, him or herself, will have received an equivalent healing. The healer has no control at all as to what's being healed. The healer makes him or herself a conduit for nature, for God, all good things. The recipient gets a healing, not the foot, something else. The healer gets some kind of a healing, who knows what, figured out after the fact. And this is how spiritual healing works. Now you might say, if a person is willing to let go of their pain, Do they need a spiritual healer to help them to let go of it? Absolutely not. They do not. If you're ready to get rid of your pain, you will receive a healing with or without the assistance of a spiritual healer. The thing is, the human mind enjoys and appreciates ceremony, okay? Couple gets married, they want a ceremony. They want to wrap their brain around the fact that they're married now. This is even more true with a funeral. Okay, you want to wrap your brain around the fact that your loved one is dead. You want to accept it and let it go. You want to see that body in the casket. All right? You see that body in the casket. Seeing is believing. Now you know. Now you accept. You accept as a group. You accept as a family, and you let it go. That little tiny ceremony is very important. Having some spiritual healing work done for you can provide that same element of ceremony. You want to let it go, you've gone to a healer, you've said some prayers, you've let it go, you got the healing, your brain is wrapped around that, you're a little bit more likely to let it go. That's really the benefit of having a spiritual healer. Now, they might be able to give you some good advice too. If they've suffered all the days of their life, they probably know something about suffering. Alright? I say that's a foregone conclusion. So there are real benefits to spiritual healing. Now, I want to offer this analogy just to give you an idea of how the energy actually flows. Now, electricity, we harness electricity, we use it for computers, refrigerators, we use it for all sorts of things. But it's the nature of electricity to want to return to the ground. It wants to return to the earth, okay? This is why if you're working with electricity, you have to insulate yourself from it. You don't want to be wearing anything metal. You have to be extremely careful. These guys working on the high tension wires, that power's on while they're up there. They have to be damn careful. If for some reason they become a ground, in other words, they become the path of least resistance for the power to pass through them back into the ground, what will happen is all the power in the power company will pass through their body and go back into the ground, because that's what electricity always wants to do. Always, 24/7. It's always trying to get back into the earth. It wants to get back into the ground. If you become a ground, you're toast. I mean, you're toast. If you're standing in a lake and you get electrocuted, I'll tell you what, your body is reduced to two things, vapor and ash. Okay? People who have seen this happen, the body turns into a puff of blue smoke. There's a tiny little bit of ash descending to the ground, such that would come maybe from a couple of cigarettes, and that's all that's left. That person is gone. The soul survives, but the body is toast. It's gone. Vapor and ash. So hold that thought, vapor and ash. Okay. Spiritual healing. What does a person do? They go in for spiritual healing. Well, they're totally insulated. Subconsciously, they don't want to get healed at all. So it's not going to work. Maybe they're open a little bit, so they get a little bit of healing. It's not even what they wanted, because the healing goes to the knee. They're not even conscious of the fact that they got healed. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they're completely insulated. Or maybe they're genuinely open to making some real improvement. So they get some real noticeable improvement, and this blesses the healer as well. That's the whole point of being a healer, to be honest with you. Sure, you want to help others, but you got real pain. You're going to die from that pain if you don't deal with it. So that's why people become healers, and it works. Becoming a healer, that's a good thing. I've done it myself, and I recommend pursuing it. It does have some value. I have seen all the doctors, taken all the pills, and read all the books. And I have to say it didn't do a hell of a lot of good. Anyway, that's a different issue. Now, let's say you have somebody walk in the door and they want a healing. Now, you don't know this person from Adam. You never do. Okay? Well, let's just say this person is like a perfect saint. I mean, this person is so absolutely open. This person is so absolutely willing. This person is like a perfect ground, okay? This person is open to all the power of nature and God. The healer doesn't know that. I have to laugh because the healer's about to get the biggest surprise of his or her life. Okay, that person is not just like the person who gets electrocuted by the power company. All the power of the power company goes through that person, okay? That person is vapor and ash. That's it. Okay? This person is so open to that healing. This person is so ready to let go of all her pain, all her grief, that all the power of God, all the power of nature passes right through that person. Bam! Just like that, in an instant. That person, all that's wrong with that person is reduced to vapor and ash, metaphorically speaking. The body is still there, but the person is a new creation. Everything wrong with that person, every grief, every pain, reduced to vapor and ash. Now most healers never get to experience that, not even once in a lifetime. But my God, would I ever love to experience that once. Because due to everything in nature being reciprocal, that healer just got reduced to vapor and ash. Best day that healer's ever going to have in his or her life. I would love to experience that once in my life before I die. Imagine that. Everything wrong with your life, every grief, every pain reduced to vapor and ash, metaphorically speaking. Why, you're such a new person, you got to get to know yourself again from scratch. You and the recipient. And what a surprise. You didn't know this person's like a perfect saint. My God, you're standing there. Next thing you know, you're vapor and ash. That's a hell of a thing. But it's a hell of a good thing. So anyways, that's how it works. If you're going for a spiritual healing and you insulate yourself against it, whether it's conscious or subconscious, that healing is not going to work. But if you can genuinely open yourself up, subconsciously and subconsciously, you are totally open to real progress. You are ready to let go of your ex. You are ready to let go of the fact that you were molested as a kid. You are ready to let go of this, that, or whatever. Maybe it's one thing, maybe it's two things. You're ready to let go of it. You will have an experience. You will be able to let that go. Now you could let it go without the healer, but as I say, the human mind likes ceremony. If you're at a funeral and you look at your dead relative in the casket, it's hard to be in denial. You know, yeah, he's dead. Okay? That's nature. Animals do it too. If an animal dies, the other pets need to see that dead pet. Don't deny them that. Okay? If you have kids and their grandpa dies, don't tell them stay at the hotel. We don't want you to see a dead body. It's a bad experience. It's not a bad experience. Not letting them see the dead body, that's a bad experience. Okay? When I was a little kid, they didn't let me see my grandfather in the casket. They thought it'd be a bad experience for me. Okay? I'm talking about it to you 40 years later saying I'm pissed off that they didn't let me see the body because I wasn't able to resolve it. How am I supposed to accept the fact that he's dead if I don't get to see the body? Well, I can't, right? So I didn't get to resolve it and they did. And they think they're doing me a favor. Well, I tell you what, I'd really like to give my parents, well, I won't say, but I'll tell you what, I'm angry about it and it's 40 years later. So don't do that to your kid. Let your kid see the body. If a pet dies, let the other pets see the body, okay? This little ceremony resolves things. It helps you to let go of your grief, okay? In the same way, you can benefit from having a spiritual healer. But the point is, your willingness to let go of whatever it is, that's the point. You will get the healing either way. But the mind, the way it's constructed, it does help to have a tiny bit of ceremony to let go. I hope that helps to explain how a spiritual healing works. Because all spiritual healings, from Reiki, native spirituality, it's all the same way. If you're holding on to your grief, you can expect not to receive a healing. But if you're genuinely willing to let it go, if you're ready to let it go, then you can benefit from it. My name is Scott McGurn, and thank you for your time.